All right, fellas, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And in this video here, we're going to be talking about another anime, another newer one called Ajin. Ajin. And I think it also has the subtitle of demi-human, but I'm not sure. But this is another anime that I recently checked out. I want to say I first seen it, or first found it rather. Uh, I think, if I remember right, I think I found it I was just on my Facebook or something like that, and somehow I think it was either on YouTube. I was searching for like anime intro, like music or something like that, and I came across one of the trailers that they had for the movie, and not movie, but series rather. And as soon as I seen that trailer, I was like, you know what? I got my eye on that. And it was like coming like September or whatever, right? So I just kind of made like a mental note. And then when it started to come out, I found the subtitle episodes online, started watching them, and I went into this without really having anything other than the fact that it had a cool premise, and I kind of liked the premise that they had, and that was it. That hooked me just based on that alone. But basically, what Anjin is about is it's gonna be a tough one. uh I want to say immortality, but it's a whole lot more than that. Basically, if I had to break it down, it would be societal differences. And basically, in the world of Anjin or whatever, right, you have just normal people, everyday people. And just to give you guys a quick premise as far as what it's about, but basically in regular hokey doke world, whatever, right? Typical Earth, nobody with superpowers, really nothing like that. But basically, people start awakening with this power, so to speak. Basically, people just you may go to work one day, get hit by a car, and oh, guess what? You didn't die. you know, it's just people are basically certain people. Let's say they pop up like mutants from X-Men, so to speak, right? There's not any kind of set indicators or anything like that. Like when people are born, it's just you live your life until one day something happens to you, and that's when you realize like, hey, look, I'm different. And basically that's what happened to the main character of the anime. He was a smart kid going to school, walking home from school one day. I forget what happened, but it was like somebody was in the street, whether like a little girl or an animal or something, right? But he jumped out in the street to save, like, I wanna say it was like this little girl, and he pushed her out of the way. The problem was he didn't use enough momentum, YouTube. So when he pushed her out of the way, she was fine. He got ran over by a truck. And so his body went all up under the wheels. Think of him like Tom Cruise in that movie. That's what happened to him, right? And he didn't die from it. After like 30 seconds or a minute, his body just magically healed itself and he just got back up. And everybody around him it was like, oh shit, he didn't die, right? So at this point in the story, the government and the military, they basically capture anybody that people find who are immortal. And it gets into a lot of politics, and maybe that's another reason why I like this anime. Like I was saying before in my last anime video, it has a lot of politics in it. And basically the main character, when he gets captured and brought in, because everybody treats him as if like he's like the bane of Satan. Like he goes back home. His mom didn't really like him no more because she was like, "Oh, how could I give birth to something that ain't human?" Like it's like mutants from X-Men, where like people are just incredibly racist towards people that are just immortal. It ain't like they're going around destroying anything. Well, they do later, but I'll get to that when we get to it. But the main character, he doesn't understand, like he don't know what's going on with him. He don't know why he's immortal. He just is. And so basically he goes on the run. The cops try to chase him. The only person that's helping him is like his best friend. His best friend is like, I don't care what you are, you're my friend. So they was like, he was like, I'm ride or die, That's what he is, And as they try to escape, I forget, because it's been like a year since I've seen season one, because they basically have two seasons. You have the first 13 episodes, and I guess you can call that season one. Then you have the latter 13, which is, I guess, season two. And I want to say, before his best friend found him, the main character, so to speak, he met, like, I want to say, like, two or three other people while being on the run. And everybody who he thought would help him, right? Basically, people would be like, "Oh yeah, we know who you are. I mean, it's cool. You can come stay with us. You know what I'm saying? Hide away from the cops or whatever." They would say that to his face, but then later on, he will find out that they'd be in the other room calling the police, telling him where he at. So he went through a couple instances that kind of made him distrust people. So when his best friend was like, "Look, I just want to help you out. You're my friend," he was like, "I want to believe that, but recent history has proved otherwise." So he was kind of like keeping his friend at arm's length. And I want to say something happened between them or whatever, but when he's with his friend, I think they sleep. They sleep at some spot in the woods or some cabin somewhere. His friend's like, "Look, we need to get you out of the country. We need to do this, and this." And the main kid is like, he in his mind he's thinking like, "Oh yeah, it's cool. Yeah, we need to do all of that." But in his mind, he's not trusting his best friend because he thinks he's gonna turn on him, like a few other people did. And so he has like a huge distrust towards regular people because of the situations that he's been put in, because of people lying to him. And he eventually leaves his friend, goes his own way, leaves his friend in the middle of this cabin where they was at, and he just goes off on his own. He eventually gets caught by the police. I forget specifically how, but he eventually gets caught, and the police have this, I don't know what to call it. They have like a special division of the police that's specifically catered to these type of immortal people. They know how to take them out, and which is basically they just tranquilize them and put them to sleep, because they can't just kill them. They can't just outright kill them because they'll just heal up from it and be fine. So they can't just like shoot him and blow his brains out, because they'll just wake back up after like 30 seconds. So they put him to sleep. They kidnap him. They basically strap him to an operating table. And now, mind you, nobody knows what makes these people immortal. So what they basically do to this kid is they get this sadistic ass doctor, or rather doctors in general, just normal generic doctors who don't give a fuck, and they just start cutting him open. Wow, not like, they don't put him under or nothing like that. They just put him on a surgery table, strap him down, and just start slicing body parts off, taking his organs out while he's sitting there in pain watching all this shit happen. And because normally with these people, besides, let's say, being immortal, right, the catch is that their body can heal from anything. So it's kind of better in a way. I'm going to relate it to Wolverine because I'm talking about healing, but for those of you who know Wolverine, and I'm only using him because everybody knows who fucking Wolverine is, Wolverine can heal from damn near anything, right? The difference between why in Ajin it's better is because when Wolverine heals, let's say I put him on a table, I take a scalpel, take his heart out, right? His body is going to heal, probably grow him another heart, right? And over time, but it takes time and effort to do all of that. Wolverine's healing factor can be taxed, so to speak. For those of you who don't know, if you shoot Wolverine with a bajillion bullets, his healing factor will get overcome and he'll pass out. And he'll basically fall asleep until, let's say, like he wakes up like a few hours later all healed up. In Ajin, it doesn't work that way. They can just cut out your heart or whatever, take it out and have it in their hand. 30 seconds later, your body will heal back up. They can cut out another one right then and there without having to wait. So they were basically torturing this kid, cutting him open, cutting off his limbs, cutting his eye out of his head, all this gruesome stuff to him, right? Trying to see like how much his body could heal. And every time they would do it, he would just heal back up from it. I'll get into it like a little bit more to that later, but But basically, what happens is this gave him like this incredible hatred towards regular people because he didn't want any of this. It's not like he asked for it. It wasn't like he was using this ability to hurt people. He was just like, hey, look, I woke up one day and I can't die. And now I got everybody trying to kill me or torture me or do worse to me. You know, that's his mindset to it. And he was a nice kid. Like, he went from being nice to like being, I'm not going to say evil, but malevolent. Malevolent and jaded. And basically what happens, he's rescued by this one guy who's this one old man who is also like somebody like him. Like, he's immortal like him. The old man represents the other part of, let's say, this story. And I'll touch into a lot of the stuff he does later on in the commentary. But basically, this old man, again, uses the main character, right? Basically, the old man rescues this kid and somebody else from this facility, right? They get away, and the old man's like, look, I understand you don't trust people. I don't trust them either. You know what I'm saying? We're just like you. They're hunting us. So basically, he's like the Magneto. I mean, if I had to name somebody, he's like the Magneto of this story, where it's like, I just want to get them to stop hunting us. Now, granted, and the reason I say he's the Magneto of this story is he's willing to do it by any means necessary. You know, he doesn't care about the people he hurts. He doesn't, care about the losses or the violence. None of that. Of course, but he's lying to the main character. He's not telling like the main character like, oh, like we're planning to kill so and so and so and so and so and so. He's not telling the main character that because he's a kid. You know, he knows he's trying to get the kid on his side. So he's trying to talk to him like, I'm not gonna say talk to him like he's a kid, but he's not telling him the whole truth. He's only telling the kid what he wants to tell him in order to try to get him to join his side. So he's trying to befriend him, like, hey, look, I'm the guy that rescued you from the thing. I've done nothing but treat you nice since I met you. You know, but in his mind, he's like, I'm not gonna say he's lying, but he's lying his ass off, YouTube. And basically, because what the old man is trying to do, the old man is trying to. And that's why I love the old man's character. The old man is kind of like, he's trying to rally together people who have this immortal power. Because basically, besides being immortal, what these people, I mean, because these Ajin, I think that's what they call them in the anime, Ajin. What these Ajin can do is they can use whatever it is that heals their body up when they die. They can create this being of energy. And if you guys go up and see the trailer, I'll try to put a link in the trailer so you guys can can actually see what I'm talking about. But they can create these beings out of energy that their body gives off. Normally when they die, whatever wounds that they get, saying, let's say like if somebody shoots me in the head, the bullet wound will get covered with this energy, and it's like Wolverine, you'll just see like the flesh start to heal up. So this energy that their body gives off, they can control it and make it form into this humanoid figure. And then they can control the humanoid figure to be, to go over there, kill somebody or whatever. Now, the catch behind this figure is regular people, if I remember right, they can't see it. So it's invisible to everybody else, regular people. They can't see it. So if, let's say, the main character or the old man forms their being or whatever, and then have it go kill somebody, they won't know what's trying to kill them. They'll just be like, like if they get stabbed in the chest and get hoisted up in the air, all they'll see is just their body floating in midair. They'll feel like, like a hand going through their gut, but they can't see it. They don't know what it is. They just think that they're floating in the air, like they got killed by a ghost or something. So all the Ajin people can do this. So that's why the old man he's trying to gather everybody he can to rally to his cause, and then he's going to go take it to the government. And the reason why he hates the government is because he sees the differences between regular people and, let's say, civilized society, when I mean regular people, and let's say people like him. He knows, because I'm not going to say he can't predict the future, nothing like that, but he's a strategist. All he does in his free time, and that's probably another reason why I like his character, is he plays video games. And he likes playing video games because of the strategies as far as that you have to think up in order to beat like a level or to beat a boss or to beat a game. And he can see that regular people aren't never going to accept them for, let's say, being who they are. They're always going to hate them because they're different. Kind of like Magneto's point of view. You know, world hates mutants. They're always going to hate mutants. They're always going to try to kill you, whatever. The old man thinks the same way, no matter what. And so what he's trying to do is rally together like-minded individuals, and then either do one of two things: either wipe out the government entirely and regular people, so it's just him and his wandering around, or force the government to give his people rights. And the reason why I say that is because the government, basically, when Ajin people, let's say, are discovered, let's say, like, if you wake up one day and you find out you're one of these people, by law, you don't have no rights. You're not considered a person. That means legally they can do anything to you. No court of law, no trial, no, oh, let's just take him out back and blow his brains out just because we can. You know, they don't, all those rights that they, you know, humanitarian rights, I don't know if that's what they're called, but all those humanitarian rights that we normally have to give other people don't apply to you. Dogs and animals probably have more rights than Ajin in the anime. And so the old man either wants to I'm not going to say trick the government, but force the government to recognize Ajin as people. And then once that happens, the government has to be accountable for all the stuff that it did, like the tortures, the killings, all of this shit, right? Of course, the government's not going to do that shit. That's just, you know, how it is. They're like, fuck that. Yeah, we ain't doing that shit. So what happens is, I want to say, the kid at this point, the main character, realizes that, I forget, something drove a wedge between him and the old man. I want to say he realized that the old man wasn't telling him the whole truth. And I want to say the old man kind of set up a scenario where he had one of his other people try to kill, like, the main character, and then he pretended to save him, so to make it look like, oh, look, they sent somebody else to try to kill you, you know, or to try to capture you, you know, to try to get the kid on his side. But the kid seen through it, and he realized that the old man was just using him to his own ends, just like everybody else who was screwing him over in the anime, right? So he kind of ran off and did his own thing. Now, I'll get back to him in a second. The old man is like, okay, well, I don't have him on my side, so let me get other people. So he started gathering other people. And what he essentially did was he formed, that's why I say I love this anime, because the old man planned out everything, YouTube. When I mean he's a strategist, I mean he's a strategist in every sense of the word. The old man, in order to get, let's say, funding to fund his little terrorist organization, so to speak, what they did was, remember how I was saying earlier about how, like, when they perform surgery on people, they can cut out your organs and grow it back? So what they were doing was, all the engine that was in his little terrorist cell, because that's pretty much what they were, in between doing terrorist acts against the government, they would cut out their organs and take their organs and sell them on the black market for money. And they would get the money or use the money to buy, like, weapons or explosives, you know, things that they would need to do the terrorist acts and stuff like that. So while the old man is planning stuff out, right? He's planning all this stuff. He eventually, I want to say he does something with the government where he basically forces the government to make, like, a public response or something on television, right? And the catch behind it was, I want to say, like, he appeared in public and gave a speech or something, right? And he got away before the government could come there and capture him. But the thing was, the government, when they came there to get him, he basically told all of the, on television, he basically told all the other Ajin people that was watching TV at the time, that were, let's say, hiding out in Tokyo and in Japan, to say, hey, look, let's meet all up at this rally, and then we're gonna, you know, I'm gonna explain my point to you, and yada 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 and stuff like that. So when they all met together, the government came there was gonna arrest everybody and kill them or contain them, kind of like what they did with the main character, right? But the catch was, if I remember right, none of them were there. However, what the government people couldn't see was they were all there, but they were using this Ajin humanoid form that I was telling you about earlier. The Ajin humanoid form, since the people control that, they see anything that the humanoid form can see. So it was basically he was giving a public rally, but using the humanoid forms, and they could hear what he was having to say, and he gathered them all together. And basically, what he explained what he was trying to do, and the people who, let's say, agreed with his side, because he basically lied and said, I want to give rights to our people. I want to get the government to try to, you know, give our people what we're deserved, you know? And so a lot of people joined up with his cause thinking, hey, yeah, look, I can get behind that. But he didn't tell a lot of them that they were just like, yeah, we're going to start killing off government officials. We're going to start doing terrorist acts. So a few of them didn't like that because they weren't like, they weren't bad people. You had this one little kid and I want to say like three other people. So when they tried to run away from him, the old man just had his other people kill him or try to. Like one of the little kids got away. The one kid who got away, he joined up with the one main character later on. Now, mind you, at this point, the main character is like living in this town in Osaka somewhere, some country town in Japan. He's hiding out. Don't nobody know who he is. He basically came through the woods and basically befriended this old lady who's kind of like half blonde. And she thinks that he's like her nephew or something like that. So, her nephew from like, Tokyo that she don't ever see. So he's pretending to be him and he's living with this old lady and he's contemplating living there forever, right? But I think the problem is that he sneaks off into the woods and he's trying to master his humanoid form and control it. Everybody else in the anime can control their humanoid form to a certain extent. The main character, for whatever reason, he can't control his humanoid form. So it does the opposite of what he wants it to tell you. Like normally, they can be like, okay, go over there and kill that person, right? But his, for whatever reason, works backwards. Because he's like, kind of messed up in the head emotionally or whatever. His humanoid form is the same way because they're like essentially a mirrored version of yourself that you can control. That basically has super strength and super speed and that's invisible. But his humanoid form, he can't control it, so it'll flip out. It may try to kill him. It may try to kill somebody else. But basically, through learning how to control it, he spends like a summer basically learning this form, and he basically builds up his stamina to use it. Normally, with the humanoid forms, let's say you can, if a normal Ajin person could, let's say, conjure the humanoid form, let's say 2 or 3 times before they have to either go to sleep or they can't do it no more because they feel tired. That's like their limit. He trained this whole summer constantly, day in, day out, trying to see how many times he could summon this thing. Because the main character, he is like, he's not, I wouldn't really call him like, oh, he's a genius, but he's like super intelligent. So he's realizing that, like, okay, like, if we all can summon this form, he summoned the form out, had it stand in one spot, and seen how long he could summon it out before, it went away. So he was like, all right, I can summon it out for 5 minutes and this. And he was like, I want to know if I can increase that. So then he kept pushing himself harder and harder and harder to where, like, the difference between his and, let's say, somebody else's, he built up his stamina to where he can summon his out, let's say, like 8 times, maybe 9. Versus the normal person can only summon theirs like 2 or 3. So basically, while he's living in this country town training for the summer, the other kid that got away from the old man earlier, he basically runs into this kid. I forget how they meet. I think the other kid went out looking for him, but they eventually find each other. And the main character's like, oh yeah, you want to take down this old man? Yeah, he tried to kill me too. Yeah, I agree with you. And he was befriending him, right? And the other kid, he's smart, but he's, let's say, like, I'm not gonna say good-natured, but he's good-natured, but he's naive. Meaning he takes things at face value. He wants to see the good in people. Don't understand why people would be bad. He's not innocent, so in the way of like he's not stupid, like let's say like Goku, but he's he's trustworthy. He's way too trusting. That's what I'm trying to say. So when the main character was like, "Oh yeah, I help you out. Yeah, we got to team up. We got to take down this this old man before he starts killing more people." The main character basically traps the other kid inside of this. There was a truck or something that went over the side of a cliff or something like that. And it was like a container truck, and this container was kind of, let's say, vertical. It fell down this little cliff area, but it was like kind of like almost straight vertical, right? So he threw him in there and locked the door. So by the container being like, let's say 20, 30 feet long, he can't climb out of it because there's nothing to grab hold. There's no handhold. So the only way that he can get let out is if the main character tosses a rope down there or something to him to give him to climb out. So he's stuck in there. So the main character keeps him locked up in there, gives him food and a couple magazines every now and then, right? To basically keep him alive, even though he can't die. Like, the main character left him in there for like weeks on end, and you can starve, but Ajin people, they can't die. They'll just die and then wake back up. So it's like a never ending starvation, I guess you can say. It's fucked up. But basically he locked him in there because he didn't trust him. At this point in the series, the main character is like completely jaded against anybody who wants to befriend him, so to speak. He thinks everybody's out to either try to kill him or try to use him to their own ends, do something, right? But basically, over time, I want to say a lot of people come looking for the main character. They have a couple of other people in the show that you see on the regular. I guess you could say reoccurring characters. And one guy works for the police that kidnapped him in the beginning and did all the torture and stuff on him. He was basically looking for him because his ass was in hot water with the government because he got away with the old man when he came and rescued him. So he was looking for him. The one kid character that he kept trapped up was trying to convince the main character, like, look, we need to take down this old man because the old man and his crew, they were doing some badass stuff, YouTube. Like, they went to the government and was like, look, I'm going to give you like 2 weeks to give us rights, to give me this, this, and this, and this, and this. Like, he had a list of demands. And the government was like, fuck you, we ain't giving you shit. So he was like, okay, here's a list of the top 50 government officials in Japan. We're going to go down this list and start killing them, like, starting Monday. Monday, we're going to kill this guy right here. And it's like Secretary of State or whatever. That's right. So the government people, they would all gather around this guy because you think the old man is like tricking them. Like, all right, let me get everybody to go protect this guy while we go kill the other guy, right? But that's not what the old man does. The old man keeps to his word. He says, like, these 50 people, we're going to kill them in this order. So when the day comes, all the police and the government officials, they try to protect this list of people. And over like the next few weeks or months or whatever, because it's kind of hard given the time place of the anime. But they basically start killing off these people in order. And they do it in such a strategic and planning way. And that's why I love this anime so much. Like, some of the stuff you see in this anime YouTube was the shit. Like, I kid you not. You would think somebody with the power to like, oh, they can't die. Like, how can that, how can they be a thing, right? Like that's not a strong superpower to have, right? But I'm gonna try if I can. I don't know if YouTube is gonna let me, given copyright strikes and all that shit. I'm gonna try to get a clip of this anime for you guys and put it on screen right when I'm talking about this segment here, and it's gonna show you how you can use immortality as a tactic, in gun and CQC combat. Because basically, you can run into a situation, guns blazing, and not worried about getting shot. Now, you can kill anybody else. Like they can kill the government, the cops, or whatever. They can die. Once they kill them, that's it. But if, let's say, they shoot him in the head, he'll just get back up, after like 10 seconds. The government people know this, so all of their guns are, let's say, tranquilizer guns. So at times they'll try to trank the main character, or not the main character, but they try to trank him too when they shooting at him. But they'll try to trank the old man, and he's dodging the tranquilizer darts. But when they do hit him, to prevent him from having to pass out, let's say he gets tranked with 10 darts and he's passing out. Before he passes out, he'll take out his gun and blow his own brains out, and then he'll fall dead to the ground, because when Ajin people, when they die, their body heals up from whatever is caused the wound all over their body, not just in just the place where, let's say, the bullet wound is. So when he kills himself, that kind of takes the tranquilizer darts effects or whatever out of his system. So he'll kill himself like 7 or 8 times in the midst of combat while having gunfights with other people. And I love the action in the anime and how they do it. It's not like a straight action anime. It's more dialogue than action, but it's incredibly well planned. That's what I'm gonna say. And it basically turns into, at the end of the day, his terrorist group goes around and they basically commit terrorist acts, kill a bunch of people, trying to force the government to face their ideals, right? And they basically back the government into a corner where the government's like debating like using toxic gas on this certain area to kill off mass amounts of people, and just to make sure that they kill them. But basically, towards the end of the anime, the one guy that works with the police, him and his people, they team up with the main character and this other kid that the main character kidnapped, and they basically form their own little band of people to go against the old man and his band of engine people that he got working for him. And I want to say like the engine as a whole as a series, because I could talk about this for the next 45 minutes, but I'm not going to. It's a great anime. If you're an intellectual person and you like animes with thought behind the action, or like tactics, or even if you want to say like with the military mindset of like guns, armies, police, and that kind of sort of thing, you're going to love this anime. The only qualms I would have to say about this, yeah, it does kind of have the supernatural flair when it comes to like the humanoid people and stuff, but that's just a part of anime in general. I mean, you always got something weird in there, that they got to throw in there to get people interested. But they did that very well. It's very down to earth. It's nothing like fantastical as far as like a lot of other animes out there. Like this, isn't going to be nothing too into fantasy or supernatural. It's just, here are these people, here's what they can do. One of them is trying to do one thing and the other one wants to do another thing, but realizes he has to stop the other guy. And it doesn't turn into like most of the time with anime like this, especially like shonen type anime, let's say like name something like Fist of the North Star, where you have the main character and he's going after the other main character, whatever the anti-hero is, or usually it's the opposite of what the main character is. This isn't one of those animes. It's more about the political situation and the plight of, let's say, Ajin against regular humans versus Ajin. It's pretty much that. It's not necessarily about good versus evil, because both sides are fucked up and wrong. But it's not necessarily about the dynamic between like, oh, the main character is the good guy versus the bad guy. It's not about that, YouTube. It's not about that at all. It's really about a clash in society, really. I mean, if you want to be technical, that's what it is. If you have if aliens came down and was living on Earth, we would hate them. They would probably hate us because of some of the shit we do to them. Or if they were racist, just like we are, they would hate us. It's really a clash against society, and versus you're on one side or you're the other side, and that's just the dynamic of the anime. It's finished, I think. I know they had 2 seasons of it. So if you watch both seasons of it, they do finish it. This isn't one of those animes that kind of end on like a cliffhanger. I don't want to spoil anything, but it deals with the old man and they kind of wrap everything up by the end of the 2nd season. I don't know if this is something where they can make a 3rd season out of it. I mean, they would have to introduce a different threat or a different plot to stretch it out to a season 3. But I mean, I'm hoping they find a way to do it. If not, I mean, this was a nice little anime series, YouTube. It's incredibly good, or at least in my opinion it is. If I had to give it a negative, if I had to give it a negative for anything, I would say it has that pseudo 3D CG look to it. I know me personally, I'm more of a fan of, I like anime when it's 2D. If it's CG and done right, it'll look great. If it's CG and done wrong, it'll look like shit. I'm looking at you, New Berserk 2016. Just saying. This has that kind of Berserk look to it, that high CG, 30 frames per second look, but it's not as bad as Berserk. You know, the art style, I had to get used to it. Um, since I'm not a fan of that, I know when I first sat down and watched it, I had to get used to that myself. But once I got used to it after seeing it for a few episodes, I was fine. It kind of sort of fell in line. I like this anime so much, I damn near binge watched it. I binge watched the first half, and then they was like, "Oh yeah, wait until season 2." I was mad as shit, and then when season 2 came around, I pretty much binge watched it all the way through. I think I watched the first half in one day and the second half in another day. So I mean, if you guys like well done, mature anime, that's what this is, and it's I think. I think one of the higher end anime production companies did it, but it definitely shows. They put the time and effort in YouTube. They dipped their toe into the soup, so to speak. You know, they did their damn thing with this one. But anyways, guys, let me cut the commentary here because I can ramble on and talk about this anime for like another half hour. But if you guys want to see me talk about anything specific or hear me talk about anything anime wise, commentary wise, what have you, or if you want to recommend an anime to me, just let me know down in the comments below. I'll try to. This is probably going to go up on my commentary channel because that's, you know, kind of what that's for. You know, so instead of putting it on my Let's Play channel, I'm putting it on my commentary channel here. So that's why this channel doesn't really have no subs to it or nothing like that. But I'm gonna try to put a little video clip, I guess, or whatever, onto my Let's Play channel, so, you know, to pull people in from there over to here. So, but if any of you guys are new, you know, new to this channel, watching videos and stuff like that, like I said before, if you want me to watch a particular anime and do a commentary on it, let me know down in the comments below. I'm more than happy to do that. You know what I'm saying? So my name is Denonu, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.